GameCube.
The time has come to awaken the goddess Martel, who sleeps at the center of the world.
Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, we are going back to a special JRPG, Tales of Symphonia. One of the most impactful ever, dare I say. This is really the one that, at least for me, put Tales on the map. And today's a special day for Tales of Symphonia. Why is that, you may be asking? Today is the release of Tales of Symphonia Remastered. Now, Bandai had kindly sent me a code a couple of days ahead of release, so I've been playing around a lot with this game as someone who enjoyed the original, never got all the way through it because the way I discovered this series was completely backwards. I swear it's a running theme on this channel and it's not intentional. I'll explain more later, but I was excited to get into and finally complete Tales of Symphonia. But as I was playing it, I had that little, creator light bulb start flicking in my head, and I was like, oh, I remember there was a lot of skepticism about this remaster. I bet a lot of people want to know if it's really worth the 40 bones, because it's coming at an awkward time. We just got Metroid Prime Remastered, and that game is fantastic, borderline a remake in a lot of areas. And for a lot of people heading into the launch of Tales of Symphonia Remaster, there's a lot of skepticism. 30 FPS, why is this kind of the inferior version to Symphonia Chronicles, where we don't have Dawn of a New World? Why are you charging more for it? So we got a lot to go over today, ladies and gentlemen. I have some thoughts. So if you're new here and you're interested in kind of like reviews, but also nostalgic and retrospective content, it's a really weird blend here, but it works very well. Consider subscribing. Let's get into it, starting off with the complete box experience. Now, you'll notice I have two copies of Tales of Symphonia here. We have Chronicles, which is the HD collection that had Tales of Symphonia, the original, and then Tales of Symphonia Dawn of the New World, which is like a spin-off / sequel. So we're gonna go through both complete box experiences. Of course, as you'd imagine, PS3 version doesn't have much, so we'll just read the back of the box for this one. But for Tales of Symphonia, I wanna go through the complete box experience for this because this is a special game. So let's start off with the back, where it says, the epic battle for survival in a dying world. Legend has it that a chosen one will one day rise from amongst the people and the land will be reborn. The line between good and evil blurs in this epic adventure where the fate of the two interlocked worlds hangs in the balance. An epic adventure, over 80 hours of gameplay in this epic, emotionally charged storyline. Real-time 3D battle system, one of the fiercest, most action-packed battle systems ever created, where up to 4 players can fight simultaneously, combine hundreds of special attacks and magic spells, and it's a 3D masterpiece, it says. Enter a world of high-quality anime cutscenes and become absorbed in endearing cel-shaded characters designed by renowned artist Kosuke Fujishima. We got some beautiful shots here, but don't worry. Of course, we got the manual here, the double disc treatment, disc 1, disc 2. We love to see that. As a kid, didn't love to see that personally. It's why I actually never played the GameCube. That totally turned me off from the system. The double disc stuff, like, am I the only one who thought that was kind of whack? But like nowadays, it's charming. I kind of like it. But anyway, let's take a look at this manual here. And yeah, oh, this is a beautiful one. Get ready for this. It's actually one of my favorites we've done in recent memory. You'll see like the map in the background, mythological creatures in the background, important characters in the background. That type of stuff works really well for me. The story synopsis, I like that it's here because it's very simple. Sometimes you see us crack open JRPG manuals and they are just loaded to the brim with like tiny text. Like we're gonna do Kingdom Hearts 2 very soon. And inside here they have a synopsis and it's like this tiny text. I like that this one spreads it out a little bit. It says, once upon a time, there existed a giant tree that was the source of all mana. A war, however, caused this tree to wither away, and a hero's life was sacrificed in order to take its place. Grieving over the loss, the goddess disappeared into the heavens. The goddess left the angels with the edict, you must wake me, for if I should sleep, the world shall be destroyed. The angels bore the chosen one, who headed towards the tower that reached up into the heavens. And that marked the beginning of the regeneration of the world, which is the whole basis of the story, with Colette being, the daughter of the angels, if you will, and of course Lloyd helping her get to the tower. So it's emotional, man, especially for its time. But as you'll see here, you got beautiful little portraits on each of the corners of every single page of major characters in the game. I absolutely love this manual. It goes through all of the gameplay, the tech here. This is important because you got to remember, like, this again was kind of the big Trails game. It reminds me a bit of how we feel about Arise, where when we saw Tales of Arise in the marketing cycle, you immediately got that feeling, oh, this is a different Trails game. Like, this is going to be a big budget one. They're really investing in it. Where previous ones like Zestiria, Berseria, like, I really like Berseria, but you could feel they were playing it really safe, even if there were redeeming qualities of each of these games. I didn't like Zestiria, so I'm just being nice right now. But point being is, I feel like with this game, you got that feeling like, oh, they're going in. So they go through everything, every single mechanic down to a science here, all the technique types, the unison attacks. They go through setting those up. Strategy was a huge part of it all. You have here all the parameters for your stats, what they all do, because obviously you're going to be equipping items and titles and all that good stuff as you use various attacks, what every item does, all the EX skills, the elements and what they do. I don't know why I said elements like that. Elements. Sounds fancy. And then cooking. Cooking's a big part of this game. I really like how when you finish a battle in this game, you'll just press Y and it'll just, boom, cook up a little meal. Lloyd makes a sandwich, everyone feasts. And it's like really important the early going because at least for me, I was getting smacked around quite a bit. And then just boring stuff with the title menu, the basics. They go over some battle stuff here, but it's an action game. You can figure it out pretty much at this point in your gaming career. Little ailments and what they mean. And we're getting towards the back here, which I find the back of this to be very interesting because we're actually getting, I believe, a remaster or a collection of some kind. It's Baten Kaitos. I don't know anything about this. Some people have written in, like, am I going to cover this game when it comes out? You let me know. Show the interest down below, and I'll do that. So that's Tales of Symphonia in its complete in-box form for the GameCube. This ran me about $30-ish. It's not a super expensive game. I was surprised. Like, it says only for GameCube. To me, that usually means I guaranteed $50 out of my pocket. So I was pleasantly surprised. Meanwhile, Tales of Symphonia Chronicles is cool because it comes with, like I said, the original as well as Dawn of a New World. Now, keep in mind, this remaster we're talking about today does not. So you'll see here it says remastered visuals and dual audio, including Japanese voices and original theme songs, new mystic art cut-ins, costumes, titles, unison attacks, techniques, events, and monsters, and exciting action-packed real-time battle system for both games. Again, inside, nothing really happening here. This game was actually cheaper. I picked this up at PAX. This game was cheaper than Tales of Symphonia, which I find interesting because this is like, I don't know, the definitive edition to me. So now let's get into what I've been playing, which is Tales of Symphonia Remastered. It's $40 on Nintendo Switch. This is a really interesting case here because Tales of Symphonia is a very special game, so of course with a special game, you have a lot of nostalgia. And to me, sometimes that's all you need to justify spending the money. You don't need to have all the new bells and whistles, you just want to re-experience a classic. Like, for example, when Knights of the Old Republic was ported to Switch, I didn't care that they weren't putting any new content in there. It was awesome to hear that Aspyr was going to bring the restored content mod to KOTOR 2, which, by the way, they still haven't. Those crooks. But still, point being, I was happy to pay the money for it. Now, when you're asking for $40, again, it comes at an awkward time where you see a fantastic remaster come out. You see a, I would say, not so fantastic remaster. Now, the good news here is Tales of Symphonia Remastered works. You can play the game, and it feels right on Switch to me. The reason it feels right on Switch to me is because 30 FPS is kind of the standard there. You're not getting many 60 FPS games. So for me, when I am playing Tales of Symphonia on the Switch, I'm like, well, this feels right at home. This doesn't feel too jarring, too weird. And quite frankly, like, to me, my eyes and brain do not break too bad when I see 30 FPS. And it's probably because I run this channel. For many of you who are always playing like newer games, we have performance mode nowadays, like 60 FPS is huge. And that's where this remaster runs into some problems because it was built off the Steam version and the Steam version was locked at 30 FPS. To me, this felt like an opportunity to be like, hey, we're charging you $40 for this and we're making this the best possible version. I feel like just a lot of corners were cut with this remaster and it's a little frustrating because here's my story with Tales of Symphonia and why this is important because I imagine while you may not have the same story as me, you may fall in the same boat of never finishing this game. So, me being the absolute genius I am as a kid, I see Tales of Symphonia, Dawn of the New World on Wii, and I go, hey, that looks great. I remember this was one of the first games that I played where I went, oh, I love the battle music for this. It was like that in Kingdom Hearts 2 that really come to mind, where music connected with me and I thought the battle music was so hype. Now it's funny because when I look at Tales of Symphonia Dawn of a New World and the reviews it received by outlets, it was getting 6s across the board. A lot of people didn't really like it. As a kid, I dug it, but I, of course, as I seem to always do on this channel, played the games backwards. So I finally I beat Dawn of the New World. Do I finish the original? Nope. Of course not. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what was going on in my head as a kid, but I didn't know any better, enjoyed the game. So to me, this was a chance to right a wrong. Like, Tales of Symphonia is a classic. And I remember as a kid, when I played, I did like a lot. I don't know, easily distracted, I suppose. I used to have a t-shirt that said that, and I proudly wore that in 5th grade. It said, easily distracted. I don't know why my parents let me wear it, but I digress. Point being, I clearly took my talents elsewhere. So this was a chance to right that wrong. When you see 30 FPS and still some bugs, like in cutscenes, there were characters disappearing, flickering in and out. I understand with like the legacy code in the game, it's probably extremely hard to resurrect all that and retool the game, but to me, this game is so special that you could justify charging $60 for it and saying, hey, we went all the way here. Now, what is new in Tales of Symphonia Remastered? Well, you do get some of the bells and whistles technically from the PC version, but they were also found here in Chronicles. So what that means is, and this is according to Bandai's official website as well, is that you can look forward to sharper and crisper in-game visuals. I'll have some thoughts on that in a moment, when compared to earlier Tales of Symphonia Chronicles and Steam releases, including enhanced character models and environments such as the town and overworld. There are also improved controls for navigating the elemental cargo ship so players can easily travel the seas. Other enhancements made include skipping of some of the events and cutscenes, additional save screen information, and minor quality of life improvements. Otherwise, there are no new story content, features, etc. added to the game. Otherwise, it's just the enhancements from Chronicles, such as party costumes, compound unison attacks, and mystic arts, previously only available on the Japan-only PS2 port of Symphonia. It also includes the 2 different opening themes and the option to toggle between Japanese and English voiceover. So you do have new stuff, if you will, if you never played this game or if you never played the PC version. So they really didn't add anything. And to me, it feels inferior to this version, because this version, as you'll see on one disc, has both Tales of Symphonia games. To me, it just feels like you're splitting up a story to monetize it further. Like, if this does well, then they'll probably just remaster Dawn of a New World separately. I find that greatly disappointing, but to me, when this remaster is already rough around the edges, it just feels kind of rushed out. Like, 30 FPS I can live with, but I feel like, to me, it just says that there's a greater problem here, and that's that you just kind of threw this together and tossed it out. Beyond that, you know, once you come from Arise, I don't know how many of y'all feel about Arise, but I love Tales of Arise. That game was awesome when I reviewed it. Such an emotional story. May have gone on a little bit too long. You can certainly feel the vibes of this story in that game, so I feel like it pays homage in a sense, but you can tell they really invested a lot in it. But the combat in that game feels so good. I love Tales of Arise's combat. It is incredible to me. It just feels silky smooth. The inputs are easy. The team attacks are easy. It's just satisfying. And I'm not saying bring Symphonia to that level, although if people were to get a remake and get it to that level, certainly they wouldn't complain. But when it comes to Tales of Arise, there is a fluidity. What happens here with Tales of Symphonia is you're kind of brought back to earth if you played Tales of Arise. So for me, I was just pulled straight out of the stratosphere and planted on the ground with this game, because the highest combo you're going to do initially is 7 hits, right? 1, 2, 3, Demon Fang. 1, 2, 3, Demon Fang. Sonic Thrust. Man, you know, it just, you wish that you could string these attacks together a little bit more. You just feel like there are so many blatant opportunities for improvement here, down to even the menus. Like when you pause the game and you go to sift through, it's just like a bunch of white text at the top. This could have been stylized a little bit more. I believe remasters are the opportunity to celebrate. When you choose to remaster or even do a definitive edition of a modern game, it's your opportunity to say, this is the version that you've been waiting for, this is the version you dreamed of, and we love this product so much and what it's done for us, we want to give it to you and give you its best version. For me, it just doesn't feel that way here. It feels like so many corners are cut with no Dawn of the New World, which maybe I'm the only person complaining about it based off the reviews. But in the case of just Symphonia alone, no 30 FPS, no real visible improvements. It's just a remaster. And that's where it's up to you at the end of the day. If you find value in that nostalgia, then it's more power to you. Like, you're not wrong for that. Certainly, I've just spent money on games that I just have a strong adoration for, even if the enhancements really aren't there. But I will warn you about the visuals a little bit. Don't look as crispy as I feel they should be here. And I found that greatly upsetting alongside the skits. You know, the skits have always been better voiced. Like, I love the skit style from the classic Tales games where you have the anime portraits. I don't like where Arise took the skits. I get why they did, but for them, technically, given they were 3D and more like cutscenes, it was a sense of progression. But to me, as a Tales Up fan, it was like regression, because I felt like that was a defining trait in the series. And to me, one obvious improvement here for Tales of Symphonia Remastered was to just add voice lines to the skits. But when I fired the skits and it was completely silent, I went, what? No way. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I could understand the original game because audio will bloat your file size and then you have to compress it. That doesn't sound as good. But in the remaster, it just felt like a blatant opportunity to right that clear wrong, because the series has evolved so far past that. I can understand, like, getting deep into the code for the gameplay might be a tall order that many of us don't understand, but the voice lines, it's practically begging for it. When you're paying $40, I don't know, man. I mean, we see some really spotty remaster pricing. I look at THQ, for example. I think they do a good job when they just do a bare bones remaster. They're like, hey, here's Red Faction Guerrilla. It's pretty much the same game and it's $30. Meanwhile, they go, hey, we pretty much remade Destroy All Humans. It's the same game, but, you know, it looks a lot better. It's $40. And then you see something like Tales of Symphonia, which is literally the same game, pretty much the inferior remaster compared to a prior remaster from a while ago. And they're like, yeah, it's $40. And then just a week ago, we get, you know, Metroid Prime Remaster, and it's practically a remake for the same price tag. Just comparing it and sizing it up, it's way too expensive. If this was $20, I would be way more forgiving. But at $40, it's really hard for me to turn a blind eye to the lack of changes here. If you're going to charge this much, all of us, I think, would happily pay for it. And some of us still will. I don't think you're wrong for it. It's just, man, they could have done so much more with this, and it feels like a truly missed opportunity. And compared to Chronicles, it feels like the thinnest remaster of them all, which is the worst thing you can be in my eyes. It's great I can have it on my Switch or my PlayStation. I can get the trophies on it. I can play it on Xbox and get achievements for it. That type of stuff does add something to the mix. But otherwise, I feel like this is a big corner cut for Bandai, who's kind of been on a roll in my eyes, doing some cool experimental games like they did Digimon Survive, which I have yet to get around to, but that game looks awesome. So that's where I stand on Tales of Symphonia Remastered. Is it really that bad? Honestly, in some ways, yeah. Like, it just was surprising how lackluster the efforts were here in my eyes. But is it bad in the terms of, does it run? No, like, you can play it, and if you love the game, you're not really wrong for picking it up. But just be warned, like, it's very much just the game with stuff from the PS2 port that we already had in Chronicles. So to me, not too impressed by the effort here, but great to have this classic here, and I'm going to enjoy chipping through it throughout the year because this was one I missed. But otherwise, in the terms of a remaster, not too impressed, bit too high of a price tag, wait for a sale. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, what do you feel about Tales of Symphonia? Do you enjoy this JRPG as much as many others do? Are you disappointed with the remaster and so on and so forth? Please let me know your thoughts down below. And with that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.